provided by Thomas Allgeier and Frennis, based on the most relevant LinkedIn posts about channel marketing and partner ecosystem in calendar weeks 33 and 34. Frennis is a B2B market research company that supports enterprise marketing teams in unlocking the full potential of their customer data with the help of AI. You can find more info in the description.
Right. So welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah, glad to be here.
And today our mission is to extract the top channel marketing and partner ecosystem trends from, all these recent professional discussions we've been seeing.
Exactly. We've got a lot of ground to cover.
So I want you to imagine standing in front of your board, right? You're projecting this beautiful slide.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, showing 12 brand new, highly anticipated channel partners you just signed.
Everyone's clapping.
Right. The executive team is thrilled. But then, you fast forward 6 months and 10 of those partners have produced absolutely zero revenue.
Ouch.
Not a single dollar.
Yeah.
And that stark reality is really the defining challenge of modern channel marketing right now. And our goal today is to cut through the noise and figure out why these systemic breakdowns are happening across the industry.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because going through the discussions from the past couple of weeks, there is a massive fault line separating how these partner programs are designed on a whiteboard, and how they actually operate in the wild.
Right.
We build these incredibly complex architectures of tiers and margins and certifications, and then human behavior just completely short-circuits the system.
It really does. The disconnect between design and execution is staggering. And a great lens into this comes from Rob Moyer.
Okay.
He pointed at a really common trap when companies try to turn around a struggling partner program.
Yeah, what's the trap?
Well, the instinct is usually to assume you just need more partners.
Right, volume.
Exactly. But the actual bottleneck is almost always a lack of partners who are physically in the room driving the deal forward. He highlights this really dangerous reliance on a metric called influenced pipeline.
Oh, influenced pipeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always feels like taking credit for the sun rising just because you pointed at it.
That really is.
Like a partner tags their name to an enterprise deal that the internal sales team was probably going to close anyway.
Yep.
And suddenly they're claiming a win.
And that vanity metric is incredibly easy to report, which is why executives love it, right until things get tight.
Right.
The argument here is that compensation should never be tied to mere influence. It needs to be tied to actual, verifiable co-sell participation.
So they actually have to do the work.
Exactly. The partner has to be actively engaged in moving the deal through the stages, because the real test of this mechanism comes during budget review season.
Oh, yeah, when finance gets involved.
Right. When finance starts looking for things to cut, influenced pipeline is the first line item to get scrutinized and eliminated. Actual co-sell participation, the tangible work, is the only metric that survives the audit.
So that shifts the entire burden of proof onto the partner.
It does.
But, when you look at how that co-sell credit is actually claimed in the CRM, the mechanics get a little, absurd.
How so?
Stacy Floyd actually highlighted the reality of account mapping.
Okay.
She noted that you can have two partners selling the exact same technology, but the one who wins the deal is usually just the one who saw the account first.
Wow. So it becomes a pure race of speed over effort.
Exactly. A completely administrative race. I mean, your top rep could be spending weeks running technical workshops and building relationships on an account.
Doing the actual selling.
Doing the selling, right. But if the partner's rep happens to log that overlap into the registration system a few hours earlier on a Monday morning,
they win.
The timestamp dictates the winner. The logging system completely overrules the actual sales effort.
That's wild.
Yeah, she mentions that outmapping literally involves naming a single accountable owner to just chase threads and register deals within hours.
So it's a land grab.
It's a land grab. It honestly sounds less like strategic enterprise selling and more like calling shotgun on a road trip.
That is a great way to put it.
Whoever yells it first claims the front seat, regardless of who actually planned the itinerary or, paid for the gas.
The shotgun analogy captures the chaos perfectly, and it speaks to a fundamental misunderstanding of the collaboration dynamic.
Yeah.
Vince Mencione shared an insight from Mark Monday that completely shatters a common myth here. The very prefix in the word co-sell tricks people into assuming a 50-50 split.
Right, equal partners.
Exactly. It implies two parties carrying an equal, balanced load.
Which anyone who has run a deal knows is almost never the case.
Never. It is deeply asymmetrical. The publisher or the vendor usually does the vast majority of the heavy lifting.
Yeah, they build a product.
They build the core product, they maintain the entire technical infrastructure, and they often provide the foundational marketing.
Right.
So you have to think of it less like a split down the middle and more like a primary contractor and a specialized subcontractor.
Okay, I see that.
And once an organization accepts that asymmetrical reality, the strategy shifts. The goal isn't just finding a few willing partners. The actual growth lever is broad seller activation.
Seller activation.
Yeah. The magic threshold appears to be getting more than 50% of your sellers actively engaged on 10 or more deals, hit that density, and the ecosystem growth goes exponential.
But getting to that activation threshold, though, that brings us back to that sobering board meeting scenario you opened with.
Right, the 12 partners.
Yeah, the data point from Charles Royce about signing 12 channel partners and only seeing revenue from 2 of them.
It's brutal.
It exposes a massive flaw in partner recruitment. Because those other 10 partners, they didn't sign up to sell.
What did they sign up for?
They signed up for the marketing halo. Yeah, they just name-dropped the vendor in their own prospect meetings to look like they had a comprehensive tech stack.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. They threw the vendor's logo on their website to gain free enterprise credibility.
Just coasting on the brand.
Exactly. They didn't build a dedicated sales motion, and they certainly didn't structure their internal comp plans to reward closing those specific joint deals.
Wow.
The margin the vendor offered was simply, less valuable to them than the free positioning.
What's fascinating here is the typical executive reflex to this exact failure.
Just add more.
Right. Instead of fixing the underlying economics, they just go out and recruit another 10 partners to replace the inactive ones.
Just a treadmill.
They run the exact same flawed playbook, put a higher number of logos on the next board slide, and then act surprised when the ratio of active to inactive partners stays exactly the same.
Because if the foundational economics of the partnership are wobbly at the start, trying to scale that program just turns those small cracks into massive fault lines.
Scaling exposes every hidden inefficiency. Yeah.
Thad Kemp provided a really sharp breakdown of this phenomenon. He observed that partner programs frequently hit a hard systemic plateau right around the $50 million mark in partner-driven revenue.
$50 million. Okay.
Yeah. The program hasn't necessarily failed, but the compounding growth suddenly stalls out.
So the manual heroics that got them to $50 million simply stop working?
Exactly the issue.
Yeah.
The breakdowns happen across 3 specific vectors.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, revenue attribution collapses.
Right.
In the early days, you can manually trace a deal to a specific relationship over a phone call.
Sure, you just call Dave and ask if he brought the deal in.
Right. But at scale, without a systemic automated co-sell attribution engine, the internal direct sales teams will naturally start routing around the partner motion to protect their own quotas.
Oh, internal competition. That's toxic.
Very. Second, enablement fails to scale. You can't rely on deep one-on-one training sessions anymore. You need programmatic playbooks and reference architectures.
You need a machine.
Yes. And third, the internal politics finally boil over. Partner source revenue begins competing directly with direct sales compensation models.
Right.
If the internal culture hasn't resolved that friction, the program quietly suffocates from the inside out.
It creates this dangerous illusion of scale.
Yeah.
The partner count goes up, so the marketing team celebrates, but the actual revenue engine is stalling.
Yeah.
And John Yu actually pulled some census data on Amazon Web Services partners that put some terrifying hard numbers to this illusion.
Oh, I saw this.
Yeah, out of 6,905 AWS partners, a tiny fraction, just 69 companies, hold 45% of all the customer launches.
The concentration of success is incredibly narrow.
It gets starker. 1,490 of those partners have 0 launches.
0.
Nothing. They are in the ecosystem, but they haven't crossed the starting line.
Wow.
And if an alliance director thinks they are safely performing in the middle of the pack, the median AWS partner with any co-sell activity at all has exactly 14 launches. 14. That completely destroys the myth that simply joining a massive hyperscaler ecosystem automatically generates a massive pipeline.
Yeah, just showing up doesn't work.
The distance from 0 launches to something tangible is the most expensive part of the journey, and thousands of companies simply never cross it.
Right.
And by the way, if you want to stay in the loop on hard data and market realities like this, make sure to subscribe so you catch future editions of our deep dives.
Absolutely. Because understanding the friction of scale is vital, especially because it gets exponentially more complicated when vendors try to scale through global system integrators, or GSIs.
Oh yeah, those are massive.
Right. Amir Elliott Lindo pointed out a fundamental architectural flaw in how most vendors approach these giants. A vendor typically treats a GSI as a single, monolithic relationship.
Just one big company.
Yeah. In reality, a GSI operates as three distinct, nested relationships, and failing at any one of them kills the deal.
So if I'm looking at a massive system integrator, I'm guessing the first hurdle is just the person managing the end client, the relationship owner.
Yeah. Correct. The client lead. They hold the keys to the end customer. Their primary motivation isn't to partner with a new software vendor.
No, it's to keep the client happy.
Exactly. Keeping the client happy and billing hours. If your tool solves a glaring problem for their client, you get an introduction.
Okay.
The second layer is the partner or senior manager. They are the ones actually mapping the accounts, managing the joint pipeline, and planning the go-to-market.
And most vendor partner programs seem entirely hyper-fixated on that middle layer. They build portals and incentives just for the pipeline managers.
And they completely miss the third and most critical relationship,
Which is?
the practice lead.
Oh.
This is where the repeatable capability lives. If you win over the practice lead, you aren't just supporting one isolated deal. You are being woven into the fabric of a multi-million-dollar consulting practice.
Right, because they build you into their system.
Exactly. They integrate your solution into their standard implementation engine and train their resources on it. If you aren't in the consultant's standard toolkit when they initially scope an engagement, you aren't losing the deal at the finish line. You lost it 6 months ago, and you are just finding out about it now.
You're just a logo on a slide wondering why the phone isn't ringing.
Exactly.
But, scaling conflicts aren't limited to the massive GSIs. Down in the managed service provider space, the friction is causing a massive shift in loyalty.
What's happening there?
Well, Dave Sobel shared a story about an MSP that registered a Dell deal for around $47,000, a standard mid-sized hardware deal.
Okay.
But when the quote came back through the registration portal, the MSP realized that the end customer could just go directly to the vendor's retail website and get a better price.
Oh, that is painful. The partner registers the deal, exposing the identity of their hard-earned customer, and the reward is immediately competing against the vendor's own direct online pricing.
Yeah. And to even match the retail price, the MSP was told they would have to cancel their deal registration first.
Oh.
The margin completely evaporates because every single transaction turns into a ground-up negotiation against the very company you are supposedly partnering with.
Right.
The fallout from this is a massive swing in partner sentiment. Partners are migrating heavily toward distributors. The distribution tier is gaining ground while the direct hardware vendor tier is losing it, simply because partners need a buffer to route around these registration conflicts and protect their baseline margins.
Which brings us to the most dangerous pivot point in the industry today. The market recognizes all these friction points, right? The attribution breakdowns, the channel conflict, the manual account mapping.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And the overwhelming temptation across the board is to look at these structural nightmares and say, oh, we will just use AI to fix the scale problem.
The ultimate shiny object syndrome.
Yes.
But our sources are screaming a collective warning about applying AI prematurely. Everyone wants the sophisticated AI forecasting dashboard to predict partner revenue, but the underlying data infrastructure is a disaster.
It is a critical sequence error. Kyle E. shared a brilliant breakdown of what happens when you switch on AI forecasting before you actually fix the underlying plumbing of your partner data.
What happens?
You end up with a dashboard that radiates absolute confidence and produces a quarter full of fiction.
A quarter full of fiction.
Okay.
Because the AI doesn't know the data is garbage.
The AI just processes what it is fed, and in most channel organizations, the partner records are duplicated half a dozen times across different CRMs.
Oh, absolutely.
The account links are broken because nobody ever enforced a standard naming convention.
Right, you have IBM, I.B.M.
Exactly. Deal registrations and CRM opportunities live in completely different silos that don't talk to each other. When you apply generative AI to that broken foundation, it doesn't magically clean the data. It just becomes an incredibly fast mechanism for producing a very confident, beautifully formatted hallucination of your pipeline.
Wow.
AI amplifies good systems, but it scales your mess with impressive language.
And the root cause of that mess almost always comes down to internal structure.
Yeah.
Mihir made to diagnose this perfectly as an issue of shared data ownership.
Okay.
Think about the competing priorities here. You got the finance team pulling channel data because they need to calculate budget accruals.
Right.
Meaning, how much money do they need to hold in reserve to actually pay these partners?
Makes sense.
At the exact same time, sales operations is looking at that same data to figure out which internal rep gets a commission cut.
Also important.
Right. And then partner operations just wants to know if the partner hit their targets for their quarterly business reviews.
They all desperately need the data.
Yes. But because ownership is distributed across 3 departments, absolutely no one is accountable for the tedious work of cleaning it.
Oh, I see.
It is the classic tragedy of the commons applied to enterprise CRM data.
So the dirty data just keeps getting passed around.
Until it lands in some top sales rep's inbox on a Friday afternoon, and they are forced to spend hours reformatting spreadsheets instead of actually closing deals.
Brutal.
The solution isn't scheduling another cross-functional alignment meeting. It requires a dedicated specialist intake layer, a team whose sole function is to own, sanitize, and structure the data before those other 3 departments are ever allowed to touch it.
Right.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Getting this data clean is no longer just a requirement for keeping your human analysts happy or making sure finance can close the books. The nature of the buyer is changing.
This is perhaps the most monumental shift we are tracking.
Yeah.
Manesh Ravinjan highlighted that AI agents are now actively reading and evaluating marketplace listings.
Wait, really?
Yeah, AWS has already rolled out an agent mode search for buyers. We are entering a phase where a machine is cross-referencing your product against a specific budget and technical use case, executing the evaluation in seconds, long before a human procurement officer ever gets involved in the deal.
Meaning your clever marketing tagline and that beautifully designed 80-page PDF brochure are suddenly completely useless.
Entirely useless. An AI buyer cannot parse a clever tagline, and it doesn't care about your brand's emotional appeal.
Right.
It requires clean, accurate, current, machine-readable data. It needs pricing structures delivered via API that it can actually calculate and verify against a dynamic budget.
Makes total sense.
If your data architecture is messy or your pricing requires a human to call for a custom quote, you are effectively invisible to the agentic buyer.
Wow.
The marketplace listing used to be a static marketing brochure. Today, it is critical infrastructure. The AI buyer will simply bypass you and move on to a competitor whose data it can seamlessly digest.
That is a fundamental rewiring of go-to-market mechanics.
It is.
And for the companies that actually do have their data infrastructure sorted out, AI is doing more than just changing how they are bought. It is entirely reshaping the core value proposition of the partner ecosystem itself.
Yeah, the capital flowing into this specific shift is staggering. David Maurer pointed out that Anthropic and OpenAI just committed a combined $250 million to build out their partner programs in a matter of months.
$250 million.
Yeah. Anthropic launched a $100 million Claude partner network. OpenAI followed up with a $150 million program, aggressively bringing in heavyweights like Accenture, Bain, and McKinsey.
The absolute bleeding-edge frontier model labs are suddenly acting like legacy enterprise software companies from the early 2000s, desperately building traditional partner channels.
Because they have slammed into a hard truth.
What's that?
The capability of the frontier model is no longer the bottleneck to enterprise adoption. Implementation is the bottleneck. These labs have built the smartest, most capable models on Earth, but they are now spending hundreds of millions of dollars to build the ecosystem required to actually deploy those models into messy, heavily regulated enterprise environments.
Right.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the ecosystem is no longer functioning just as a distribution channel for the product. The ecosystem is the product.
The ecosystem is the product.
Yeah, the enterprise isn't just buying a language model. They're buying the frontier model, plus the hyperscaler cloud infrastructure, plus the specialized delivery muscle of the partner to make it actually work.
The challenge is that the partners themselves are struggling to adapt their messaging to this new reality.
Right.
Leila Kupal-Patel noted a conversation where she evaluated roughly 300 partners this year.
300.
And almost all of them were pitching a generic, horizontal AI readiness assessment.
Oh, no.
No focus on a specific industry, no defined operational problem, just a vague offer to help any company, anywhere, get ready for AI. And they are universally shocked when these broad pitches fail to convert.
Well, they fail because AI readiness is a technology category. It is not a business solution.
Right.
Companies like Anthropic and OpenAI have the massive marketing budgets required to promote the broad, horizontal promise of artificial intelligence. A boutique consultancy does not.
Exactly.
The partners who are actually capturing revenue in this space are narrowing their focus dramatically. They target a specific vertical market, they address a highly recognized, incredibly expensive operational problem, and they position AI merely as the underlying mechanism to solve that problem, not as the headline itself.
And the actual daily work of an implementation partner is shifting radically too. John P. made a brilliant observation looking at Zoho's new AI configuration tools.
Okay, Zoho.
Yeah. We are reaching a point where a user can simply type a plain language prompt to create custom CRM modules, build out complex layouts, and set up basic workflows, and the AI executes it flawlessly in seconds.
So the foundational implementation work that used to keep junior consultants billing hours for weeks becomes completely commoditized.
Faster, cheaper, and with fewer errors. But it doesn't mean the partner ecosystem vanishes. It means the demand shifts up the value chain.
How so?
It creates a massive new requirement for a role he calls an AI workforce architect.
AI workforce architect. I like that.
Businesses don't need a partner to just set up CRM fields anymore. They need a highly specialized partner who can design digital employees, architect the complex integrations across dozens of legacy systems, and build strict governance protocols.
Governance, right?
Yeah, governance meaning they set the boundaries so an AI agent doesn't accidentally email a client your internal profit margins.
That would be bad.
Right. Building a custom module is becoming a simple prompt. Building and governing a digital workforce is becoming a highly specialized profession.
And stepping into that role of workforce architect requires an incredibly deep systemic level of trust.
Oh, yeah.
Which brings up a critical warning from Santino Weber. In this new AI ecosystem, you have room to make mistakes in your messaging. You can iterate and fail on your co-sell motions, but if you have a security misalignment, it breaks the AI partnership permanently.
So there's zero grace period for security in AI deployments.
None whatsoever. AI introduces a highly volatile, completely unprecedented attack surface for an enterprise.
Yeah.
If you lose trust on security, a polite follow-up meeting or a discount isn't going to fix it. Securing these environments requires architecture-level co-innovation across 3 distinct layers.
Break those down.
First, the infrastructure layer. You have to embed zero-trust protocols directly into the AI hardware and compute pipelines.
Okay.
Second, the AI lifecycle layer. Securing the proprietary enterprise data that feeds the models without throttling the speed or performance.
Right.
And third, the field co-sell layer. The partner has to be able to position security as an accelerant in the deal, not as a compliance roadblock that stalls everything at the 11th hour.
You can't just slap a certified partner badge on a website and run a joint webinar anymore. The integration has to be foundational, or the enterprise simply won't bet their data on it.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean? We've traced the journey from the messy, manual reality of shotgun co-selling through the severe friction of scaling those programs past 50 million, into the data infrastructure required to even survive the AI era, and finally to how AI is fundamentally changing what a partner actually sells.
If we pull all of these threads together, there is a looming reality that partner leaders need to prepare for right now. We discussed how AI agents are already evaluating marketplace listings and acting as initial buyers.
Right.
The next frontier, the truly disruptive phase of this evolution, is going to be figuring out what happens to channel economics when your AI agent starts negotiating margins, deal registrations, and co-sell agreements directly with a partner's AI agent. We are looking at a near future where the transaction layer of partnerships is entirely stripped of human relationship building. If the human element moves entirely to the strategic architecture level and machines handle the transactional friction, the foundational economics and the very definition of the channel will have to be completely rewritten.
A completely machine-to-machine partner ecosystem negotiating its own margins. That is something every channel leader should be mapping out immediately. Well, if you enjoyed this episode, new episodes drop every 2 weeks. Also check out our other editions on field marketing, MarTech, AI, and B2B, go-to-market, ABM, and social selling. Thank you so much for listening, and remember to subscribe so you never miss a deep dive.